Welcome back to British Stand. It is the weekend, and of course, like familiar weekends in weekends gone by, mass protests have, of course, erupted across the UK. Now, it's glorious scenes, and as stated, on the British Patriots side, it's always peaceful. I always say it time and time again. This weekend, it's being reported that there's protests taking place in 50 different towns and cities across the United Kingdom. We've got footage today from Newcastle, Bristol, Liverpool, and there's a lot of other smaller places as well. However, as I stated, guys, British Patriots are always peaceful. Maybe potentially a few, of course, cause a bit of drama. But I've always seen it, reporting on this channel over the last year, on protests, it's always the far left that are the aggressors. However, it's the people that are patriots that, of course, get the headlines the day after and all of these kind of things. Now, in today's video and today's live stream, I want to go through some of the protests today that have been taking place. We're going to be taking take a look at clips from Newcastle and particularly Bristol, as police have clashed with the far left and Antifa thugs, and as you can see, it is pretty much carnage. However, this won't go onto any front page news nor make any headlines, which is always super frustrating. We've also got a bit from Liverpool as well. As always, guys, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's watch some of the footage. The first video I'm going to show you guys is just some of the scenes from Newcastle in particular, before we do get into the carnage that has erupted in Bristol. Have a watch.
We've got two crowds gathered. As you can see, they need to explain which side this is. And then on this side we have a few, well, there's one Palestine flag that I can see. Oh, there's a couple over there. Lots of discussions going on here, but they're keeping them well apart, which is good. They got quite close at one point, but the police made
So as you can see, wherever British Patriots are, and there's tons of footage, with the flags, flying high, great to see, fairly peaceful. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and the chaos that has erupted in Bristol. And as stated, at all of these protests today, you'll see the counter-protests, the far-left thugs that are always there all of the time. And this is what they do with the police. Have a watch.
What are you doing? Yes, Matt.
Okay, so hopefully you can hear me, but the police forces have come out. It's starting to get a bit spicy here in Bristol. Basically, the far left who are here will not let the Patriots march, so the police are trying their best to clear a path, but it's not going so well at the moment.
Now, as you can see, the British Patriots are marching down, doing their protest. They have every right to do it peacefully, as you can see from the video footage. But it's the far left agitators that are causing the carnage and, of course, having the brawl with the police. Now, as I said before, if this was people with a Union Jack, this would be front page news, saying all of these police officers were forced to act. But you won't hear anything with regard to the far left there and those brawls that you started to see between the police. Now, it's not just Bristol. Bristol's probably one of the worst places for lefties. However, actually Liverpool as well is starting to heat up as well. Of course, there's mass protests, of course, going on in Liverpool as a city as well. And in Liverpool, you've got a lot of these nutters as well. In fact, these nutters are everywhere in terms of the far left and are always trying to agitate. And here's GB News doing a report on proceedings a little bit earlier on.
Well, we're now moving backwards here. The police have got themselves in a real muddle because they allowed Stop Racism, some of the younger people in it, to come in from the left-hand side with Coke cans and sticks and start really hitting hard on the anti-immigration lot. And now the police are having to find themselves caught in between two lines, and they've allowed the Stand Up for Racism to come round the back of them, and now they're trying to cut a swathe through the street so as they can separate the two protests. This was a very bad police decision to do what they're doing here, because what they've ended up now doing is blocking the middle of Liverpool totally, and there is a very, very tense situation now. And you can see what they're doing. They're pushing down the street, trying to push protesters out. Yep, you can see now it's starting to kick off. There's another arrest here, and that is one of Stand Up for Racism has been arrested there. There's been about 5 arrests today, and the police are really getting pushed to control this situation. And if we just look up there you can see that is the pro-immigration protest that's there. And you can see this guy here, he's actually standing here with the flag. He's trying to actually wind them up. This is really a bad policing decision here to let this go this way. And the whole way down this street there have been scuffles like this. Liverpool is on edge at this moment.
So there you have it, a ton of footage, of course, from the protests. And what you're seeing in all of these is a common denominator. These far left agitators coming here and, of course, trying to cause trouble. trying to agitate. And we've already spoke about where we believe they come from and who funds these individuals in the first place. But as I always do, every single time I do this, yes, there is a few, maybe a handful, as you would always get in a large gathering of people on the Patriot side, of course. Sometimes that happens, it's a numbers game, but you're seeing the whole movement in terms of the counter-protests of what their intentions are and what they're actually trying to do whilst attending these. They're trying to agitate and cause trouble. However, you will never ever see this in the headlines, making the news, or anything like this. It's always kept hush-hush. If you had that exact same little brawl there, or someone being put down onto the floor from the British Patriots, or just normal people, they would be on the front page of every single newspaper the next day. Keir Starmer would be coming out doing speeches and stating that everyone's far right. But remember what these people are protesting for. They're protesting about their feeling that their children and women inside this country are no longer safe due to the individuals that are residing at these hotels. People are outraged, and you can see it across the whole of the UK. This is erupting at various towns and cities, and these individuals, they all look the same, by the way, and you can kind of tell their look and what they're all about. But these people are protesting against that. You know, they're the ones that are refugees welcome and all of these kind of things. But they're there not to have their voices heard, but to agitate, try and cause trouble, and try and cause mayhem, as you could see in those video clips. Now, I'm interested to see what people are saying with regard to this. Again, there's countless footage from today. There's a lot of great scenes, of course, from people, of course, flying their flags, Union Jacks, and all of these kind of things from all of these protests, and would be here all night going through all the video footage. But I just wanted to share with you the bad stuff, of course, coming from the far left that doesn't get the media spotlight that it needs, because people seem to think that these people are angels. They're absolutely not. They're annoying, they are agitators, and they're the ones that cause the trouble, and they're the ones that cause the brawls with the police every single time. Seeing things, you have to look past what the news media is saying and do your own research on your own. No, exactly. But again, there's still a ton of people within this country that are psyops. They are still psyops and still believe whatever the BBC tell them, whatever ITV tell them. You know, it's not going to happen. People are awakened here, I suppose, but the vast majority still in this country still get their programming as such from the BBC and ITV News at 10 o'clock every single night. And that's the problem. And this sort of footage will not appear on their news screens tonight. David Lee says, all paid agitators. I genuinely do believe that. Boiling Frog says, Jew haters screaming Nazi scum. You couldn't make it up. Yeah, well, the thing is that these stand-up to racism mobs always try and say that people that want illegal migrants out of the country as Nazis. The Nazis were like the biggest socialist party ever. You know, their views more align with them, actually, on the way that they see the world sort of politically. So I don't really get it when people try and make those comparisons with the Nazis and the sort of populist right and the far right parties. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because as I said, the Nazis were the biggest socialist party going. Derek says, sad part is the only way to get information is from each other on here, where they cannot control the narrative. That's why I love X, because you see this video footage. People are there recording it themselves. They got their phone out and they're just recording. And that's, you can't, exactly manipulate that. People are actually on the ground recording what they're actually seeing in real life. And again, we reported to you the story earlier on today about the petrol bombing incident. Now, one Indian restaurant got a petrol bomb, and quite frankly, it's shocking in itself. However, 2 British patriots were also attacked with a petrol bomb last night. But one got mainstream media coverage, the other didn't. It depends on what the agenda is set. Because it was a far-left agitator, it didn't really make the headlines. But thanks to this, and thanks for these people actually documenting it themselves, we actually found out the truth. We were able to see through the bullshit. We're able to find out what actually went on. Someone said, wait, 2 secs. Green King Dog said, I stopped believing what ITV said when they mentioned a turkey shortage 2 years running. Yeah, to be fair, I can't believe how long I was psyoped by the mainstream media for. And to be fair, with my sort of generation, I suppose, and people that are younger, they've all awoken to it. I think COVID helped that out. You know, a lot of people that are my age and younger have started to refute the mainstream media and this sort of programming. And as I said, COVID was one of those big things as to why people my age don't believe in it. So they got awakened really earlier. Yeah, but GB News is on our side. You know, GB News is on our side. I don't really see, BBC, ITV, all these kind of things. But GB News, unfortunately, is in the eyes of the sort of UK is seen as the sort of hard right YouTube channel or media channel. So some people are psyoped into believing that they can't get their information from there. But that's the problem. Bass the Second says King Billy on the wall. Wait, what's happening with the Celtics score? I'm going to get a live reaction here. Oh shit, it's 3-0. It was 0-0 at halftime. I was hoping there was going to be a potential upset. Obviously not. God's sake. We should go after those who fund them and give them real justice. I heard someone say, who's live streaming today? I can't find any. I heard someone was arrested, one of the big auditors today. I don't know if that was, I seen a little rumour go across X. I haven't actually vetted it yet, to be perfectly honest. So don't take it as gospel. But I heard one of the big auditors on YouTube was actually arrested. So I'm going to have to dive into that and have a little look. But I'm not sure. Maybe a little rumour, but I'll dig into it and see what has happened. I think Starmer has underestimated the British and overestimated his power. Well, we're definitely seeing people. Yeah, people are confirming here. AY Audits was arrested. AY was arrested. Yeah, so I think this wasn't just a rumor. I think it was actually true. So, so one of the auditors has been arrested. I'm not sure why. Again, I probably should have done my own research. But yeah, I can't really comment on it because I haven't seen the reason as to why he was arrested. But yeah, I did hear the news come through that one of these guys had been arrested. They do some good work, these guys, these auditors. I really like the work they do. I'm a real big fan of it. You know, I really like the stuff that they do. They go out onto the ground and really report the real news. And I think that's important that that's not taken away from us. And that's what the establishment wants to do, is try and stop these people from actually recording and exposing the things that are happening in the country. So yeah, I hope it's not anything serious with Mr. AY. But we'll have to see. Red-Eyed Knight said he was indeed arrested for an apparent breach of a CPN order. Thought was all Scottish in here saying, "Hey, aye, mate." It's happening. Sorry if there's any Glaswegians watching, butchering your accent. Yeah, but guys, do let me know your thoughts on this one. There's actually quite a lot of video. I've got another video coming out later of some sort of police in action with regard to British patriots as well. So we're going to be covering that one as well a little bit later on. It's really, really busy. And I like that because it means that there's so much going on. And the British people are actually standing up for what they believe in. You know, I hope this continues going out to the summer. Of course, last summer we seen stuff due to the warm weather, but we really need to keep pushing these sort of protests and keep on doing what we're doing, even going into the sort of autumn months and the winter months, because you need to keep the pressure. You need to keep the go for the jugular, if you like, and that's metaphorically. towards the establishment, not people, by the way. I'm just adding it there. But yeah, no, I like what people are doing, really going out there and voting with their feet. And as long as it's peaceful, that's all that matters, and they can't take that away from us. But these migrant hotel protests are working. They're working. We've seen it happen in Epping. And the Home Office are trying to challenge what the High Court ruling was, which is disastrous itself. But it shows some hope. I just have a weird gut feeling, a horrible gut feeling of what they're going to do next, is that these migrant hotels actually get shut down, then they push them into HMOs. Because at the moment, we've got like a point as to where these illegal migrants actually are. They're at a hotel, right? They're sitting in a hotel, and everybody kind of knows where they are. But all of a sudden, if they're going, well, we've got a lot of pressure here, we need to start getting them HMOs, and then sprinkling them all around a town instead of them being in one area, that then becomes a problem, because you don't actually know who's who. And then they're sort of infiltrated within to the local residents. And then it becomes a problem where these protests can't really happen. And when it comes to these reports, we're seeing like sort of sexual assaults and hearing of sexual assaults come out, then all of a sudden, they're not, this guy was at the hotel. It's just Davey, fake name, Mohammed from freaking 32. And then people don't know whether he was an asylum seeker or not. So at the moment, we know that we get the information that they can reside at hotels. But the moment that they start getting sprinkled amongst us in HMOs, then it becomes a problem. And then that's what I feel, that's what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to deal with the problem. They may shut down the hotels, but I don't think they're going to be looking at detaining and deporting these individuals. I think their next step is put them in the HMOs. And then, again, where can people protest outside of? Because nobody's going to know where they are. Notting Hill Carnival. When is that? Is that this weekend? I fucking hate that day. Has it been a year already? Notting Hill Carnival. Let's have a look at this mess. When's that? Is that this weekend? Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, yes, bank holiday. Oh, no. Now we're going to be in for a busy weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Notting Hill Carnival. My goodness me. The biggest British celebration of the year is upon us tomorrow. Oh, my God. Carnage. Carnage is going to be happening over this weekend. God. An absolute cesspit. Absolute cesspit. I really dislike Notting Hill Carnival. I think it's the worst. I think it's the worst one. You want to look at crime? It's horrible. Can't think of anything worse. But troops, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back a little bit later with a police video and potentially something else as well. But guys, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.